Hi everybody, it's Richard here again and welcome to another video. Now this is a continuation of where I show my 10 favourite songs from my 10 favourite artists, which in itself is a response to a series I did where I showed the 10 worst songs from my 10 favourite artists. And today is my all-time favourite artist, and it is David Bowie. So we'll get straight into this, and the first one up at number 10, I am having Station to Station, the actual title track from this album. And this is about 10 minutes long. It's in almost three sections. One, well, first of all, you hear the train moving out of the station, then it's like a slow instrumental, and then it's like a slow vocal, and then it goes into the fast part, and it's an absolutely brilliant song. You can hear the train getting quicker and quicker and quicker as the song progresses. It just works so well. Now in Australia they butchered it for a single and they only issued the fast part as a single, which is interesting to hear in its own right, but it didn't quite work. But what an opener to this brilliant album, and so Station to Station is my number 10. And at number 9 we have the title track of Heroes. Now, I have to stress it is the LP version, not the single version, because it was really butchered for single release. And I can understand why, because this is actually quite long. But Bowie's vocals on this are really good. You get two sides to his vocals. You get the sort of laid back vocal, and then you get the almost aggressive, almost shouting vocal. And it's a magnificent song about the Berlin Wall and two lovers by the Berlin Wall, which we all know who they were. Well, one of them anyway. But yeah, a fantastic track, and it's iconic now. It's regarded as one of his most famous tracks. Although at the time it only got to about number 23 in the charts, which is a shame. But it's an absolutely brilliant track, especially the LP version. So that's my number 9. And at number 8, we have from my favourite album of all time by anyone ever, the album Diamond Dogs. And it's a bit of a cheat here because I'm putting two together, Big Brother and the chant of the ever circling skeletal family. Now they do segue into each other, and I just love the Big Brother part. Is absolutely magnificent with a little acoustic bit in the middle. It's almost like an early 80s song. I've always found. I always found it a little bit sort of new romantic, but obviously it's about dystopia with Big Brother. But the chant of the ever circling skeletal family that is part of it, and it is just known as Big Brother and David Live, and he does both of them together. It is weird. It is so weird, but it's so enjoyable, but it's so hypnotic as well. Absolutely adore it, and it gets my number 8. And at number 7 is a single, and it's really the first big single after Space Oddity, and it's one he's famous for, and it's Starman, and it's a fantastic glam classic song. And the Top of the Pops performance with Mick Ronson is absolutely fantastic. It's so catchy. It's from the Ziggy Stardust album, and everybody knows it. Brilliant track, and it's my number 7. And my number 6, and it's another single, and it's Driving Saturday from the Aladdin Sane album in 1973. And this has got a bit of a 50s doo-wop feel to it, but it's a wonderful, wonderful track. There's a great performance of it on the Russell Hartley TV show. And basically, this is people learning to love again and having to watch videos to do it. So an odd subject, but still an absolutely brilliant, brilliant track. And this is the one that actually name drops Mick Jagger. So I've always loved this. I've always preferred it to Jean Genie. And I remember my brother had a Aladdin Sane album, and this is the one I played the most when I was a kid, way back in the day. So my number 6 is Driving Saturday. And my number 5 is yet another single, and it's Sound and Vision, the first single from Low. Now it's a very brave single because a minute and a half goes by without you hearing Bowie's vocals at all, but it's such an infectious tune, and then when the vocals do come in, it's really, really brilliant. Low is quite a difficult album to get into, but I just think this is so accessible, and I have never ever got fed up with it, so it is my number 5, Sound and Vision. At number 4, and we have the title track from The Man Who Sold the World. And this is just a really moody type track. I do like what sounds like a washboard and thimble. I like that sound to it. Now this song has been covered quite a few times. Lulu has done a brilliant version in 1974, and her backing band was actually Bowie and the Spiders, and Bowie does backing vocals and plays the saxophone. And then Midge Ure did a version of it in 1982 for the Party Party album, and I think it is very good as well. The only version I don't like is Nirvana's, and I think the reason why is I'm not keen on Kurt Cobain's voice. Also, I think he plays it too safe. It's too much like the original because the other two cover versions are completely different. But this is a brilliant song. It should have been a single. It never was. Although it was reworked completely in the mid 90s, it just doesn't sound anywhere like this song. But it was a A-side with Strangers When We Meet, but you wouldn't recognise it as The Man Who Sold the World. But it was a B-side, and I'll come to that in a minute, but it should have been a single in its own right, so that's my number 4. And my number 3, and it's a single, Life on Mars from Hunky Dory, and The Man Who Sold the World was the B-side to this, so what a single release this actually was. And I bought the single back in 1972, or 1973, sorry, I think it was released around June of 73. So I bought it when I was 7 years old. It is a response to My Way by Paul Anka, because there was like a tender put out for an old French tune for people to write lyrics to, and Bowie wrote something like Every Fool Learns to Love, and he submitted that, and actually Paul Anka submitted the lyrics My Way, and it won. Now, if you actually listen to the two songs, they are quite similar in structure, but I just love this. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I always found though that he struggled to sing this live. The studio version he's never ever been able to beat, but that's what we're ranking these things on anyway. So, Life on Mars is my number 3. And at number 2, and we have from the David Bowie 1969 album, or the Space Oddity album, and it is Signate Committee. It's not the title track, it's Signate Committee, and it's about 8.5 minutes long. It's absolutely brilliant. This one builds and builds and builds. It starts off very, very sort of slow with a bass guitar, and it's about a utopian state. Well, the wanting of a utopian state, and it's ending up like a dystopian state. And so it's just a magnificent track, and his vocals are amazing in this, especially at the end. Absolutely brilliant, and it's just a fantastic track from a fantastic LP. So my number 1 Bowie song, and I think this is the best piece of music recorded to tape or vinyl or whatever, and it's from Diamond Dogs again. And again, it's cheating. It's a Sweet Thing medley, which encompasses Sweet Thing Candidate and Sweet Thing Reprise. Magnificent. First of all, he's never sounded so better. This is his best vocal performance ever. It is a very moody, very smoky sounding sound at the very beginning, and then this one builds and builds and builds, and his yelps and so forth are brilliant. It's almost as if, you know, like a few songs I've mentioned in the past, he's in a jazz club and he starts off singing very in a smoky atmosphere, but then it gets greater and greater and greater, and I just think it's magnificent. Absolutely brilliant track. And the 3 songs, you can't separate them, put it this way. If you separate them, they just don't sound right. So all together, those 3 songs, Sweet Thing Candidate and Sweet Thing Reprise, is my number 1. And on some compilations it's just down as Sweet Thing medley, and the 3 of them are tied together. So as I say, number 1 from my favourite album of all time. Okay, so that's my rundown of my 10 favourite David Bowie songs. I hope you enjoyed that. The next one in this series will be Elton John, and I'm holding it to Elton John in the 70s just because I did that with the 10 worst songs of Elton John. Although if I didn't, there could be 1 or 2 cropping in from the 80s, but I'm sticking to the 70s. Okay, that's me for now. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope to have another video quite soon. All the best now. Bye bye.